Hi, this is János, it's Real World Audio, and now I'm going to talk about live loudspeaker cabinets and show a little demonstration as well. And so basically what's happening here is that we have the Lagrange loudspeaker, which has a reasonably live cabinet, which is in this case half an inch or 1.2 millimeter thick plywood in the front and the back, so that's the front and back panels, and the sides are made with 20 millimeter thick pine wood. However, this 20 millimeter thickness there on the sides and on the top is carved out from the inside down to 10 millimeter thickness. So around there and there on the inside, those side panels are just 10 millimeter thick on the inside. So that and only the edges, the corners of the side and the top panels are 20 millimeter thick, which is really nice because it can make a nice and stable connection with the front and the rear panels, but the middle of it is just 10 millimeters thin, so it's able to resonate. And when you think about old loudspeaker lore, that is common knowledge that even if you go to the bathroom and you have to throw up, then it comes up as a knowledge for everyone that cabinet resonances are bad. And the problem with that lore is that when the cabinet resonates at its own frequencies and it's a really poor material, then it's a really bad problem. And just talking about a music instrument analogy, when you have a violin or a guitar that you make it from some junk material, if you play that instrument and the junk material resonates, you have awful sound, and you rather use that contraption as firewood than play any sort of music on it whatsoever. The same is true for loudspeaker. When you use any material for loudspeaker technology, if it's poor quality material, then you'd rather use it as firewood than for loudspeakers. Actually, that's what I would do. And even if you make an so-called inert cabinet, you will do much better of using quality thick material for it than something junk that has some ungainly resonances when those resonances are excited. Because what's happening on the inside of a cabinet is that the driver is trying to make frequencies, so it's creating pressure fluctuations on the inside of the cabinet. And when your cabinet is inert, then these pressure fluctuations build up on the inside of the cabinet. They will be bouncing around from wall to wall because they cannot escape. They are held inside the cabinet, so you will have a cavalcade, a chaos, a total chaos inside the cabinet. And that chaos will, because it cannot escape at the frequency where the note was created, what it will do, the only thing it can do, it will excite the main resonant modes of your cabinet, which is the height, the depth, and the width. So those frequencies that conform to those lengths will be excited, and that's where the energy will escape from the cabinet. Of course, part of the energy will escape through the ports, but the port is open only in a very narrow range, so it can allow only the frequencies which are 1 octave around the tuning frequency of the port, and any other energy will escape through the dimensions of the cabinet. And because when you have a normal size loudspeaker from bookshelves to floor standers, the tuning frequency of the port is at least 1 octave below, over an octave below those resonant frequencies that are excited as the cabinet dimensions. So With normal speakers, even if they are ported or they are not ported, you will have these problems. And those problems arise because that energy cannot be dissipated, it can't be transferred to the air. When you have a live cabinet, when you have that pressure that the cone produces on the inside of the cabinet, that pressure, when it hits the walls, the side walls of the cabinet or the front and the back, then it will excite the cabinet, so the energy will be transmitted to the cabinet, and the cabinet will transmit the energy to the air in your room. And when I play music, actually this entire cabinet, it has these really fine resonances and actually quite strong, palpable resonances. Even if I'm listening to quiet music, I can feel already resonating, especially like the top, it resonates like quite a bit. And when I play music loud, it's just astonishing how strong those resonances become. And you would saying, oh, how can that work? Why is this working? And one of the reasons why this is working is, number one, you have to use thin enough material to allow energy transfer to the air, because the thicker the material, the lower the ability to transmit the energy to the air, and you will just end up exciting the wooden panel, the wooden piece, to resonate on its own, and so the energy will die through a long time. Energy will be trapped inside the wood. What you want is to use as thin material as possible to transmit the energy to the air as fast as possible. However, there's practicality. If you cannot go as thin as possible, because then the thinner you go, the more the quality of the material that you use will also count. So there will come a practical boundary beyond which, if you go, then you will have problems arising. So that's for everyone to experiment, to try out with, that with the material at your disposal, which is your optimum wall thickness that you can use for a cabinet. But don't worry about it too much. You will not go like right and wrong. It will be shades of colors, so, or shades of gray, however you would call it. Why is this working at all? I haven't told you guys and girls yet. And it's working because the wood transmits sound at a much higher speed than air does. So what people's I would say, if you think about it logically, one problem would be that as the driver moves, it takes time for the energy to transfer from here and then go down there, right? And that will cause a time smear for your music. Because with a live cabinet, we are using the cabinet as a passive radiator. So instead of the sound coming from that tiny driver, it's coming from the entire box. The entire cabinet becomes your driver, that source that radiates the energy into the air. But is there going to be a time smear? And the answer for that is that time smear is much less than what you would think, because wood, even the worst quality woods, transmit sound 10 times as fast as the air, and high quality wood transmit sound almost 20 times as fast as the air does. So basically, because we are listening to air pressure fluctuations, for the air, whatever pressure is starting at any point of the wood, and as the pressure differential the energy runs through the entire length of the front baffle, the time that it runs through will be almost negligible compared to the time of the transfer to air. So basically your whole cabinet with the size of Lagrange will act almost like a uniform air pressure generator for sound transmission. And that's why you are not getting a feeling that there's a big time smear occurring. The only problem that can happen with this is that when you have these transmissions, not all of the energy will be transmitted to the air. Some of the energy will make the panels themselves resonate at frequencies that they want to resonate. You can tweak that by using different torques, different screw material, different method of gluing or constructing the cabinet that will alter how it interacts. But what you want to avoid is to have the resonances from one panel be transferred to another panel and affect the plane of resonances. And how you can do that very efficiently is to build an internal framework and put the buffers on the internal frames. And that's what I did with the Voice of Lancelot. They have an internal frame which the Legrand doesn't have, to make the construction reasonably simple and doable for everyone. Another trick that I will use for Legrand to help prevent the cabinet from oscillate from any directions will be to add a piece of support between the basket frame and the back panel. And why would I do that? Because when you have those oscillations that are not just front and back, but like this, like all kind of warping and warbling, then the driver is not pointing anymore straight to the front, but there will be like minute fluctuations on the directionality where it's emitting the sounds. And although the cabinet is acting as an active cabinet, but the high frequencies will be impacted pretty much by that, because the highest highs are really coming from the driver, and like that 15 plus kilohertz region, that's almost entirely coming from the cone itself. The cabinet is doing a great job for mid-range frequencies, low frequencies, but the highs are predominantly from the cone itself. And when the cabinet is overly excited, and then we get some instability there. How can you fix that? If you put a dowel to apply pressure between the back plate and the back of the basket, then that will prevent the driver from making these warbling movements, because it will be tensioned and pushed to the outside. So now the resonances are limited, and we will have higher clarity of sound. Actually, that's what my theory it is, and next week I will try it out by building that sound post, and which is also called as the soul in the violin. So I will be applying violin technology here. So thank you for tuning in and being here with this little adventure on live cabinet exploration, and I hope you get to explore your live cabinet on your own, and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.